Hello, and welcome back to the Bible Study Girl podcast. This is Sarita, but you used to know me as Bible Study Girl back when I was writing blogs daily. And here orchestrating our choppy entrance is the executive producer of this podcast, Bible Study Brother.
Hello, people. We are back.
We are back after a year-long hiatus.
I forgot. It is Bible Study Brother, also known as Icarus Gray, over at Gray Area Anime. Yeah, that's what I was
Go over there and
say.
check him out.
Over at Gray Area Anime, and this will be the most wonderful podcast of your day.
Oh, look at him. Remixing it up in honor of our loved ones that have gone on to glory. I like it. So if you're tuning in, guys, it's been a long time since you heard from us. We took basically a year off. Life happened and it came at us fast, and we had a lot of things to process and deal with. So we actually did record a couple of podcasts last year. One of them you won't ever hear. It was a grief.
Both of them at this point.
No. It was a grief fest, and we needed it to get some things off of our chest. But actually, I think the second podcast that we recorded talking about the beginnings of our grief journey, I think I'm playing that next. It's going to be the next episode you hear. So you will get to hear detailed information about where have you guys been and what's been going on and what do you mean grief? Why are you so sad? But I'm not going to hold you in suspense and make you wait until that podcast to really understand what we've been going through. We lost a lot of people, a lot of loved ones in our lives last year. And so we had to take some time off to kind of reflect and get ourselves together. And I can't say that I'm together, but I am doing marginally better.
Yeah, I'm not gonna profess to being better in any in any way.
No, I'm marginally better because I'm at least doing this podcast. And really, honestly, yeah. One of the things that sparked my interest in doing a podcast again is because my cousin sent me a message and was like, yeah, I'm ready to give my testimony on your podcast. I'm like, podcast? Don't you know those days are long gone? Who wants to talk about Jesus right now?
And I think what's kind of significant about this episode and the day that we're recording is we're drawing upon a year of all these losses and things of that nature, which just seems incomprehensible.
Right.
From being in it, from being in the episode that we recorded, from COVID recordings, like to just so many other things that happened last year, some of which we'll talk about later in this episode.
Fun fact, we are actually recording this podcast on Zoom. We're in different states. Bible Study Brother and his lovely wife made the leap and they moved to Washington State. So we're thousands of miles apart. So there's some choppiness, some things that aren't quite as smooth. This is our first time trying this cross country and we're trying to work the kinks out. So I know the intro probably is not as smooth as it needs to be. But the hope and prayer is that it will get better in time. Is your mom calling you?
No, there was a little internet choppiness. So we'll also apologize for that as well, because that will somewhat be a thing from time to time.
Technology, man. We're doing the best we can. So it's good to see your face, brother.
Yes. Because we're doing this via Zoom.
I already said that. You might not have heard me because of internet choppiness.
Look at this.
Are you frozen?
No, I'm not. We're getting the rust. We're knocking the rust off.
Oh, okay.
Knocking it off. Y'all can't see this, but I shook my head as I was knocking it off.
Knock the rust off. So I will just do a brief recap. So you don't have to wait too long before you hear the next episode. So you kind of know what we're talking about when we talk about losses. we lost our great uncle January 1st of last year. Then Bible study cousin Tamika passed away unexpectedly on January the 7th. Her mother passed away 3 weeks after that. And then the next week, our other uncle passed away. So within a 6 week period, we lost four very close family members. And it has been a journey. Grief is definitely a journey. So
I feel like it was 1/7/7/14, if I have my days correct, because it was a literal month, an actual month, from Tamika to Aunt Linda. And then,
your days may be correct. I don't know. They're all smushed together for me.
Well, at least if nothing else, I remember three of them because I remember 1, 7, and 14 because of it being Valentine's Day. And
yes, I definitely remember that. I'm unsure of Aunt Linda's date.
Though
I just know
I do believe it was the 7th though.
I just know they all took me down through there. Absolutely. And if you could see my face and how I'm looking on the Zoom, you'd be like, girl, you have been through something.
We'll work on that. Eventually, my goal is visuals for this year. Before the end of the year, we will have visuals, and I'll be working like a maniac. Yeah.
You gonna make me comb my hair for podcasting?
Listen, man. We have a whole episode about the upgrades in your life and just things that
we do.
But I'm connecting that with the fact that what I told you about your upgrade in your work life is what you got to do over here too.
Yeah, but I will say I missed you guys. I missed having the opportunity really to share my faith journey. Part of my hesitancy to share my journey is just because it's so hard for me right now. And I didn't have the energy, honestly, to pour into anybody else or really say anything to anybody else. Because I've been in survival mode, just trying to keep my head above the water. But I felt like it was important with the 1-year anniversary of all the trauma really that we've experienced last year coming to a head, that it's important for me to not stay in a sunken place and to really live my life, because I do still have life. I do still have breath. And if I have life and breath, that means I have purpose. So I need to do something with the time that I do have on earth. And I had that thought when Tamika first passed. I gave myself a couple of weeks, and then I was like, you must continue to live. You have purpose. Like I said, you have mission, you have important things to do for the kingdom of God. But baby, let me tell you, and Linda's, I guess I almost feel like the devil was like, oh, she's still breathing. She's still functioning, barely, but she's still functioning. I almost feel like he was like, let me go and chop you in your throat. Cause you got a little, you ain't passed out yet, girl. And I let him have it. I've had a long year. But I also want to say,
like, I don't know if you're finished yet. I don't know if you still have like the small breathing breath, but let me on the day where you're trying to like piece it back together, like
that's literally
by
what
the
happened.
Smallest thread. Matter of fact, what I'm gonna, and it was the most. I ain't gonna say it was well orchestrated, but like, because that's giving him way too much credit.
It was a very devious,
that's better, yeah.
Yes, it was like, you used to play Mortal Kombat. What's the move?
It was a fatality. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Like, let me finish. Didn't they say like finish him? Yes. I feel like that's what he said.
Growth.
Growth.
But it was just like, that was the part where I was just like, oh, you got to be kidding me. Like, you couldn't script this on TV
You couldn't.
to make me go from a funeral, go home, get told another of my family members only has hours to live. Then, I feel like, oh wait, the candle's still burning. These loaves and these fishes is they're multiplying in front of me, only just for the next day. And like, the whole time we were waiting on dialysis, and it's like they couldn't do it, and again that hour turned into this candle burning or whatever. And we go to the next day, and they're like, they got it. And I'm like, whew, man.
Yeah, we have dodged the bullet.
Man, and we just, we all just kind of sitting watching like, okay, they got that part. Now we're just going to sit here and watch and wait for the vitals to stabilize, everything else. And the lady just walks over. And I know she didn't mean anything devious or bad by it. Because again, if you do this so often, Mama could probably speak to being in these situations where you just have to give information. And just walks over, gives us the information in a caring way. So I'm not painting a improper narrative. And it was just like, huh? Wait, what? What are you saying to me? And this is like, for people who work in the normal world, and we've said this before, it is so very hard to explain our family. It is one of the most difficult things because people do not function the way that we do a lot of the time, or so it seems, or at least not in the 9-to-5 workspaces. So you have a 2-month period where literally almost every other week we're having to do something. And, people are at the end of their ropes by this third one. We've just like everything fell on the weekend. So there wasn't a lot of moving around, at least not that I had to do. Because I am by the end of this, like, I ended up with COVID. I was out for like 20 days. All my PTO is gone. I don't have any time. Because because of my immune disease, I had to be out 20 days instead of the original 10 that you had to be quarantined for. And like, everybody's at the end of the rope. Like, I am wanting to give up all of the ghosts for it didn't matter what it was. Like, I didn't want to do anything. Like, it was just by the blood of Jesus that I even cared that lights still had to get paid and rent and all of these other things, because I didn't care.
Right. Honestly, I was at the point where I did not care about my bills and my mortgage, and it showed in my credit report. I'm getting better now, though. Praise the Lord. But I threw all that stuff away. I think one of the biggest struggles for me this past year has been dealing with my own personal faith walk and where my faith lies. I know that faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. And honestly, the last year I hadn't had a lot of hope, just being real and being honest and being transparent. Took me down through there.
I was on autopilot for a lot of the year.
Oh, definitely. I would see my therapist. It was kind of spotty. And I actually ended up having to get a new therapist, which we'll talk about therapy and finding a therapist, like, specifically in an episode. I was grateful that I had a relationship with my therapist before all the tragedy happened, because I didn't have to explain my backstory, didn't have to explain my connection to my family. When people started dying, my therapist knew, what I'm saying, what that meant to me and what my family members meant to me. And honestly, he had to like take a beat when I told him Tamika passed away. He was like, what? Like, huh? Like, okay, so we both tripping, sir. As long as we on the same page, I think we'll get through this. So it's very helpful for me um, to talk to him. But at the same time, like, it's just been a challenge. It's been a struggle. It's been a struggle.
And I think it's been really hard spiritually because, like, for a while, if it weren't for the things that God had placed in my life, the year prior, as I'm trying to say, I don't think I would have had a routine that would have sustained my spirituality in the way that it needed to be, because I would not have been in a mode to where life is a sermon. It is basically how you live as a preacher, because everything is something that you find consolation or comfort is what I'm trying to say, in the word, because when you start experiencing stuff through life and you start seeing the trials of Job differently, or you start hearing Psalms differently, you hear all of the different things that are happening to you from a different lens. You can think of the miracles, but at the same time, when you've been beaten in so many different situations, where in these situations it hasn't been since 2000 and whenever I was 24, when our uncle passed, that we've even had to deal with this level of grief.
Yeah,
it had been since 2008 prior, and
which and I know that it's a blessing.
Yeah.
But that still doesn't make this any easier.
No. And that's what I was like getting to, is like in that understanding to where you don't really, what happened is when our great grandmother passed 2008, we still had everybody.
Right.
We still had systems, family units that weren't disheveled, broken and things of that nature, or however it can be worded better. But for this, there was so much that this year was promised to us. And a lot of those promises still came to fruition in varying ways, but we had a huge expectancy for this year. I think earlier, like 2018, did we do the vision boards? Or was it
that would be 2019?
So, yeah.
No, actually, I think we did vision board 2020. We did do vision board 2020 because everything on Tamika's, she got everything on her vision board in 2020. Everything she put on her vision board,
yes. We talked about provided. Yes.
It was 2020.
Okay. So 2020, we do this vision board about things that we wanted, right? And if I go and I look back at my vision board, I got pretty much everything, because I didn't have like a full, thought on what I wanted, but the things I knew that I wanted, I did get.
This is a bit of a sidetrack, but let me ask you, on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited were you to do vision board party? Was it like, I don't want to do this, or
I was at a full 3.
Okay.
For me,
I thought so.
Like, I was at a 3, and then like it was just I don't know. It was so much going on at that time for me in my head, and like I don't know. I probably talked to you about what I was mad about at that time. I'm pretty sure it was marital in its origin, or in something selfish in my brain, or whatever. But it was not the time. I did not care.
I have a funny little side story for you off the air that I'll share with you. That's why I was asking. I was like, I was meaning to ask you that the other week, but I forgot. Anyway, continue what you were saying.
What you're gonna say.
Okay.
And so what's funny about it was there were a couple things on there that I knew that I wanted. And I knew I wanted for us. I wanted my baby girl. Still do. No luck yet. So and I had travel on there. Now, in my head, it
Oh,
was
baby, we
just like,
traveled.
bruh, listen. Uh, um, but it was different. I was thinking, probably like on a bigger scale. But I think the thing that I've realized about how God does me, even when I'm acting out and upset about stuff, He still lays out His plan of how He wants for things to be. So I did have to become the leader or whatever in the way that I wanted of my household for the rest of that year at that time, in trying to figure out stuff that was going on, and I became a somewhat of a leader in the church, being an associate pastor, which I didn't even know was the title that I had before the move, and we'll get to that. But
Yeah, we'll talk about the move in another podcast.
But and so stepping into all these different positions and stuff and being in different places. And a conversation you and I had yesterday was, you know, legacy and all of these different things. And that is literally the only thing that kept me through the entire year, was focus on what it is that you need to do. I didn't try and push you to come back to record or anything like that, because it just wasn't the time, and it wasn't going to do um it wasn't going to do what it needed to do. Because while we as Christians do get angry, we as Christians do feel hopeless at times and need to be renewed, refilled with the Spirit, how you talk about those things is what influences other people. And
Right.
the power of life or death is in the tongue, and that is truthful, because I can either build you up with the life of the fact that, yes, I need to stop hitting this mic, sorry guys, that I went through hell and back, but God never left me, and I have to go through that. If I talk in the middle of that, sometimes you can convince yourself that He's not there, because of how grieving and upset you might be.
Can I tell you something? I never once doubted that God wasn't here. As a matter of fact, like I know we talked about it. I don't know if we talked about it on a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But when I read the book of Job all the way through, it's really, really long. Like, who knew? I didn't. Job goes through it. The whole book is like 42 chapters. So he spends a long time like going through it. And to me, I would feel like maybe God's hand was not on me until I read the chapter of Job. And he's very aware that God's hand is on him, even in the midst of all the turmoil. And so that really stood out to me. Like, I know your hand is here. The devil can do nothing to me without God's permission. And even though I feel my family is in heaven and, celebrating with Jesus, that doesn't mean that I don't miss them. That doesn't mean that I don't miss their earthly presence. So I was very aware that the hand of God was on me, and continues to be on me. I just couldn't. Listen, man, I know you're there. Brother, I know you're there. I'm well aware. You all up in this.
I'll speak to growth in the fact that there's and I'm never going to talk about the whole situation. This is just a funny, slight insider joke, but I'm going to tell you all my growth. There's a conflict or a beef that I could resolve given distance ramifications, or not ramifications, but distance. And, I have no desire to handle that anymore. In a terrible way, because y'all, I'm telling y'all, this, like, what's sad about grief is, man, if you ever watch, I think it's one of the black movies about funerals, one of them comedies, and I can't think of the name of it, but either way, if you watch that movie or watch any movie that has to deal with funerals and you see all these crazy things happening and you like, oh my God, this is a movie. Then you live the source material and it's crazy. And you're like, wait a minute. Wait a minute, God. What is this? Like, but, you know, and I know that that's things that later on in life I will laugh about, that I will be able to see on a different side, because
Right.
the beauty of God is that he does these things for a purpose. He like it, you would often, if you were in a incorrect place, you would have felt like, man, what did I do? Like, what did I open? What did I, you know, mess up? And then through the year that we had, the blessings and doors that he opened, it's like, you didn't do anything. This was just, you know, all along the lines of
it's
what I
his
had
plan.
planned for
You talked
Yeah.
about a little bit earlier, you were talking about God set these things out for you. But the key to furthering yourself in life or in God's plan is that you have to be obedient. You know, the Lord placed several opportunities before me this year. And I'm not proud of my disobedience, but I was just like, nah, I'm good. I'll just lay here in the bed under the covers and cry. And we talk about grief, you know, it is like a wave of emotions. Some days I'm all right, and then other days it's bad. So yeah, the reason I wanted to get back on the mic and start podcasting again, and I'm sure this episode is like choppy and crazy, but this is my life right now, and y'all can listen or you can choose.
Chopped and screwed and crazy.
You can listen or you cannot, but this is real. Like, this is really where I'm at right now. One thing that really did though push me to like get back on it is Tamika was like one of my biggest pushers, my motivators. Honey, she did not, like, I didn't tell anybody that I was going to write a blog. I just wrote the blog and published it. Everybody found out at the same time because I was being obedient to what God wanted me to do. And a lot of times in my life, I bounced my ideas, my thoughts, my struggles off of Tamika to ask for her feedback. But this is something that I knew that God wanted me to do, period. You don't need any feedback. You don't need anybody to tell you, you know, this is a good idea or a bad idea. Do what I told you. And so I walked in that. I was obedient to him, and I started blogging and sharing my faith walk and my testimony. And in thinking about her this week, which I think about her all the time, but in thinking about her this week, there's no greater way to honor her and honor her memory and be obedient than to walk in my calling, even when I don't feel like it. Because there's somebody out there whose story is similar to mine or who's going through the same thing. And, you know, people will be quick to, when people pass and, you know, you're experiencing grief, especially in the church, people will be quick to tell you everything that you need to do and, you know, thus saith the Lord. And all those things are true, but sometimes you're not in a space or a position to really even hear or process what people are saying. And so I just felt like it's important to be honest and transparent about this journey, this grief journey. And I hope that you guys will be patient with us, that you'll be understanding and just walk through it with us. And I hope that it is something that will bless people and not burden people. You know, I spent most of 2021 not writing. I didn't have anything to say. Like, that's how I had nothing. Like, I had nothing. And so my hope and my prayer is that I can have a renewed walk with Christ. You know, I never left him, and I know he's never left me. I'm definitely sure that his hand is on my life, but my prayer is that I can have a renewed walk, that my life really can be a testimony to, oh, look what God can do. Y'all remember the first episode of the second season, how crazy Sarita was talking, and now she sounds more like the same person.
Oh yeah, welcome to season 2. Hopefully you're all the way in, and we.
But
Yeah.
me and you talked about legacy last night, and I want
Yeah.
people to be able to see that. I want people to be able to see that and hear that. And I want my life to be lived to the glory of God, period. And it's gonna look ugly. When I think about the little blurb I wrote for my blog, I talked about wanting to talk about all the parts of life, the good, the bad, the ugly, the funny. And this is just part of it. And I'm finally in a place where I can at least try to share. Let me tell y'all real quick before we get off of here. So the next episode you hear, like I said, we're going to walk you through our grief journey. We were freshly into grief. So that episode probably sounds a little crazy too. I debated back and forth about, do people need to hear this? I haven't listened to it since last year, but I'm going to listen to it, and I am going to let it play. But let me tell y'all, I told Bible study brother before we started, I said, you better get some tissue because you're going to start crying. And he was like, no, I'm not. I'm not going to
I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to shed no tears.
Of course, he broke down, and I was like, I told his wife, get this man some tissue. Because I told him before we started, just go and put the tissue on the table so we don't have to.
Yo, look, man, I was trying my best, y'all. Like, listen.
Crying is healthy.
No, I understand that, but I also understand that my mom 1 and mom 2 once told me in the parking lot of where Sims and KFC is. I can't think of whatever that is. Like
Sims and KFC?
Well, the KFC is on the corner, and then Sims is on the other side.
You talking about back in our old hood?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's the Sharks now, but okay.
Wow, it's crazy. Oh, yeah, it is the Sharks. I knew that. Okay. Gone to the Sharks. But anyway, so what happened was one day, I don't know because what would happen is I would cry for a lot of different things. I cried about everything. But I would essentially, definitely, the only way you would know that I was telling the truth back then is if I started crying. Because I'm like, you don't believe me, and I would cry. And so we're walking into the store, and they just told me, stop crying. And I'm sure it was just you're annoying us in this moment, but the way I hear both of them is always literal, this means at no point do this. And so at that point...
Well, I was going to say, our family, we're really not a crying family, like, honestly. So this year has thrown me for a loop. I'm not a big crier. And that was one thing that threw my therapist off. Like, I've only cried maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 were like really heavy sessions, but like the continual cry, he was like, sis, girl.
This is new. But right. That's why. Is like, it's just this whole like I vividly remember where I was. I don't remember what we were going to do or what the store was at the time. I just remember it happening, and I remember like from then on, I just don't like it. I do not like it.
Isn't it crazy how stuff imprints on us when we're a kid and we never let it go and we hold on to it? Because that's something I don't even remember, but it has such a big impact on your life.
But it's like, or even the conversation where I kind of where we got into the argument, we were leaving Grady's or something about a memory I had, and it was like, nah, that ain't a thing. And it's like, for y'all, it was just, bro, chill out. That never happened. And it was just like, for me, like, bro, what? No, like, and it's this thing. It was at that point where I think I started to realize the separation between owning and trying to be my own man and stop connecting so much to whether or not it's validated. And
right,
spiritually at that point, and it's like a lot of times I learned better and better how to do it better, because often if I'm going crazy, I'm upset, I'm yelling, I'm crying or whatever, because for you or what, like, here's the thing that would drive me the most insane spiritually, and then we can end on this, would be if I'm crying because I'm emotional. Like, to me, that means whatever I'm saying means something. If Sarita does not agree, if my mother does not agree, their face don't change. They just stone cold, but just be like, I mean, right. Like, I'm a 5-year-old who's having a tantrum. Like, all right, well, whenever you're done and you're ready to come eat, And it's like, bruh, I'm an adult and y'all are not acknowledging my feelings. And this is like literally driving me to pure insanity. Not even it's probably what it is to have a tantrum when you're a kid and no one is listening to you. And it's like the emotion just keeps building and kind of yelling at you or whatever. And like the growth of the relationship, I think from getting married and even like just seeing that from, our episode, we talked about that. And to even now and how it's changed and reformed even further from what our therapist, who I need to talk to, told us from the first time he met us to knowing our dynamic and being like, this is different.
Right.
To how much we've grown, I think, in lieu of being aware of that dynamic.
Awareness makes a lot of difference. A lot of people walk around unaware. And actually our therapist told me that my self-awareness is like one of my greatest skills. Like, you're very self-aware. I am.
Except when it comes to me.
No, I'm self-aware.
I know. That's why I'm like, no, it's fine. That's why
I'm self-aware. I'm self-aware, my friend.
She will.
So thank you guys for being patient with us, listening to this first episode. My prayer is that it gets better. My prayer is that this helps you and that it helps us, and that we can really make an impact for Christ in the kingdom, even on days when we don't feel like it, that we get up and we push through.
So, what happened?
Nothing. I thought you were finna say something. I was looking at your lips.
Yeah, I was about to say, I mean, like, y'all been missing us. So why don't you hit us up at BibleStudyGirl@gmail.com if you would
Bible Study Girl 2019
BibleStudyGirl2019 See, I knew I was going to mess up some things.
Yeah, I did too.
_ Bible Study Girl on Instagram, Twitter. Bible Study
Girl 1.
Oh, Bible Study Girl 1 on Twitter. Bible Study Girl on Instagram and on our Facebook, which you should go like and comment. YouTube channel to be coming. I'll work on all of that stuff at sometime later this year. We're not going to rush it because this is something that's going to take a lot of work in different places. So I got to get a system together, but it's going to get together because we want to continue to grow. We want to continue to reach more people. We want to continue to build our platform and build these things. While we're doing that, go to BibleStudyGirl.com where you can read blog posts each and every day about the faith walk that my sister goes through.
Did you say each and every day?
Each and every day. Listen, eventually it will be each and every day. Currently, it is when you get it.
Okay, there you go. Right now, if you've never read them, baby, you could read one each and every day. Start from the back and bring it on.
Start from the back and bring it on to the front. But the prayer, in as I'm saying this, as it is originally written and scripted, is each and every day.
That's the prayer, buddy.
By the end of this year,
that's the prayer.
You will be able to go back and go to BibleStudyGirl.com. And
I'm also special surprise. I'm also working on my book that I started and never finished. And it's gonna have a lot of special sauce on it now because I done been down through something.
Extra chapters, y'all. But yeah, be on the lookout for that. We thank you guys for being here with us for this little, random episode of trying to get back into the flow. Because we ain't had no topic of nothing. We just wanted to. We knew we needed to come and talk to y'all. Yeah. So appreciate our dip back in, and we'll see you guys next time. Do your thing or say goodbye.
You have to say yours, and then I say.
Oh, guys, I forgot all about this because I ain't been doing this because since I moved up here, I haven't done not one. That's another story for another day. But I remember that it's not just they. It's not she, not he, not we. Wait, no, it's not they. It's not she, not he, not I. But we preach.
And until we meet again, guys, keep preaching.